on Let's Get Real, chatting with Catherine, and today my guest is Adam Lehman, and he is also known as a kinesio guy. So I like to kind of, because kinesiology is not, I mean, yes, more and more people know about it, but I was quite surprised when I was talking to different people about this kinesiology conference, and people said, what is kinesiology? And so that kind of tells me where we're at. We have a bit of a ways to go to getting this to be more mainstream. So I like to start with, did you have that question? What drove you to finally look into kinesiology?
Okay, well, that's two different topics. I'm going to go with the first one because it's one of my favorite topics. And, you know, because kinesiology is very misunderstood, and even often by people who have learned it. You know, and so when we're first learning, inevitably we go out and we tell our friends and our family, yeah, I took this cool class and it's muscle testing, it's kinesiology, and they go, well, what's kinesiology? And then it's kind of like, well,
yes, exactly.
It's a difficult thing to explain. So, but I've been doing it for 30 years now, so I feel like I've come up with a pretty good understanding of the work. And so the first thing that I would say about that is that a really important thing to understand about kinesiology being the use of muscle testing. You know, there are university degrees you can take in kinesiology, but that is a different thing, and that sets people up for careers like sports physiology and teaching in schools and things like that. So the kinesiology we're talking about is the use of muscle testing. And so the thing to understand about that, with all the kinesiology modalities that there are, is that kinesiology is not a healing modality. You know, a lot of times when I say I do kinesiology and somebody will say, oh, is that like massage? Well, no. Is it like reflexology? Is it like Reiki? You know, all of those things are healing modalities. And the reason kinesiology isn't like any of them is because kinesiology is not a healing modality.
Right.
It's a communication tool. So muscle testing is a means of communicating with the body in order to get information from the body about what it wants in order to go through its own innate healing process.
So it would be a complementary to all these other healing modalities, perhaps. It would be a complementary tool to use to ask the body what does it need, then a practitioner might use, because as I was reading your website, now you're teaching this to practitioners to kind of complement something they're already doing in a healing. Would that be an accurate application of it?
Well, it can go either way. I teach people who have never done anything else and are just interested in starting something in the healing arts in general.
So you're teaching it to chiropractors and you...
I teach to people that have no experience, and I teach to people who have a lot of experience. So it's open across the board. But what I would say about you said it's complementary to those other modalities. I would say it's an integrator. Kinesiology is the ultimate integrator. You know, if we're looking at the natural healing arts, we start with sort of an underlying philosophy. But the underlying philosophy of natural healing arts is that the body is designed to heal itself. Mm-hmm. And when it's not doing that, then there's something blocking that. And so what kinesiology allows for is for the practitioner, it gives the practitioner the opportunity to identify where those blockages exist, which can be across the board, physical, nutritional, emotional, or energetic. And then allows the practitioner to work to identify what the cause of the blockage is, so that we work with the root causes rather than just symptomology. And the third thing, after you've got that a little bit sorted out, is to ask the body, and gives the body the opportunity to say exactly what it wants to unblock the blockage. And that's where it gets fun, because the body can say that it wants anything from the entire world of the natural healing arts, only somewhat limited by a practitioner's experience and any particular legal aspects.
The body actually knows specifically what it needs. That's an intelligence beyond what a lot of people think of as their bodies having.
Yes. So there's two parts to that. Your body is constantly in touch with everything that's going on. It's just that that information isn't communicated to our conscious level. So, the body does two things really well. It's designed to heal itself, but it's also very good at compensating for things when things aren't going the way they're supposed to. So, for instance, if you have a particular enzyme that's not functioning properly, and therefore some biochemical process is not working, your liver isn't detoxing something properly, it tries to find a workaround, and it compensates for that.
Right.
And so that allows us to function. Similarly to, you sprain your ankle, you limp for 3 weeks, that's a compensation. But down the road, from all that limping, you're putting more pressure on the opposite knee. And so then all of a sudden, a couple of months later, you start having a knee problem, and you're wondering, well, why do I have this knee problem? But that's going on throughout the body all the time and isn't always conscious. So muscle testing, I often refer to muscle testing as the voice of the subconscious.
Okay.
So that's that communication tool. It's the ability to communicate with those parts of the brain and the general body mind in a way that the body has the opportunity to say, okay, here I have this problem, here I have this blockage, let's do something about it. So, yeah, there is an innate intelligence to that, and the body is always working with that. On the other hand, sometimes imbalances like that can go on for so long that the body kind of accepts it as the status quo, and it no longer recognizes it as a problem. That's where the skill of the practitioner comes in, to be able to ask the right kinds of questions of the body using this voice of the subconscious, and try and flesh that out a little bit.
And that's where you come in as someone to train the practitioner to understand what might be different layers of questions or that kind of thing. Is that what one of your...
And when I say questions, the language of the body is electromagnetic. And so the more you can ask questions in its own language, the better direct communication you're going to get. For instance, acupressure points are electromagnetic points.
Right.
And hopefully the Chinese have figured out thousands of years ago what a lot of different points mean. So I can touch certain points, and if the muscle changes when I put a little pressure on it, then it's telling me, okay, here's an imbalance here, and that gives me a path to start to follow along. So I tend to try and use that kind of languaging rather than actually asking verbal questions, which then get translated in other ways and have different connotations and can come up with some distorted kinds of answers sometimes.
Okay. The thing that I'm hearing here is that it's one thing to know muscle testing, kinesiology, but then there would be another layer. Would it be practical to just have that? I mean, to me, it would seem like you would need some other layers of health understanding, physiology understanding.
The more you know, the deeper you can go with things. It is an energy technique, so you can do wonderful things with just a little bit.
Yeah, it's a tool. Then what you do with that information goes from there.